Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're not just, analyzing a text. We are launching a full-on interdisciplinary investigation.
We really are.
Our source material asks maybe the most ambitious question you could possibly imagine. What is the single universal clock? The one that's ticking underneath all of human history.
It's a huge question. And our mission today is to try and find what the author calls the mother of all calendars.
It's an extraordinary project, and to even attempt it, we have to blend some pretty different fields. We're talking about deep, ancient Hindu philosophy on one hand,
And pure modern mathematics and even cosmology on the other. It's a wild combination.
the source we're diving into is a text called The Legend Mind, From Zero to Infinity. It's by an author named Sonu Kumar, who also goes by the SKR, or simply The Legend.
And we're focusing on a really specific part. It's chapter 15, which is called Basic Calendar of Earth, Humankind. It's tucked away in a section of the book that he calls the Legend Unique Questions.
Okay, so let's unpack the mindset here, because you can't understand the answers without understanding the person asking the questions.
That's absolutely critical.
When you read the author's preface, the SKR is very clear. This is not just some academic thought experiment for him. He says the book is designed to be eye-opening.
Right. And to solve the striking questions that,
Oh.
well, that basically compelled him to write in the first place. But what really defines his method, I think, is the toolkit he uses.
It's like he refuses to be limited by any single field of study.
Completely. He insists that to answer these huge cosmic questions, you can't just rely on science or just on religion. You need to pull from everything.
He lists them out, right?
He does. Science, math, religion, idioms, physics, numberology, cosmology, and geography. It feels like an everything in the kitchen sink approach.
It really does.
But it's done with this really profound intention. He sees all these different fields as just, interconnected parts of a single unified truth.
And that intention, it's rooted in a very deep philosophical and spiritual conviction. We can't really ignore the context of his research here.
No, it's central to the whole project.
The author dedicates his entire work to his immortal guru, the Lord Shiva. And he says he's drawing inspiration from Shiva's primordial lifestyle. This is crucial, isn't it?
It's everything, because it informs his whole approach to life and research. He talks about his desire to live with zero attraction of the world.
So this search for truth, it wasn't done in a university lab or some cozy library.
Not at all. He was driven to live alone, specifically to find these answers so he could be, untainted by the distractions and desires of the material world.
It establishes that the mathematical arguments we're about to get into, they're not just numbers on a page. They're backed by this search for spiritual purity, for a fundamental reality.
Right. And that lends this incredible weight to his conclusions. He's looking for an answer so basic, so universal, that it transcends all cultural bias.
So that's our mission today, to follow that path. And the author is actually very humble about it. He calls his ideas rough concepts or big picture.
He does. He explicitly says he wants intelligent people from different professions, scientists, astrologers, mathematicians, to take his foundation and then, refine it.
So we're kind of the first interpreters of that foundation. We're going to explain how he takes what he calls the oldest mythological system, the Hindu system, and uses mathematical symmetry to arrive at a single ultimate calendar for all of humankind.
A calendar that works irrespective of culture or religion. It's basically a quest for the cosmic source code of time itself.
And that takes us right to the scale of the problem he's trying to solve.
It's a big one.
I mean, when you look around the globe right now, the way we keep time it's a mess.
It really is. A beautiful mess, but a mess nonetheless.
We're juggling around 40 different calendar systems. You've got the Gregorian, Jewish, Islamic, Hindu, Chinese, Julian, Japanese. I mean, the list goes on and on.
And they all tell time differently. Different starting points, different eras, different rules.
So the legend asks the big question. Amidst all this confusion, what is the single basic, or to use his term, the mother calendar that truly defines the flow of human time?
And to solve a problem that big, you have to start somewhere fundamental. His method is to go to what he identifies as the oldest religion in the present world.
The Hindu tradition.
Exactly. He sees its cosmological framework as the logical starting point for any investigation into primordial time. If you want the mother calendar, you have to start with the mother religion. Makes sense.
It does. And so within that framework, the most obvious place to start digging is the era we're all supposedly living in right now.
Which is universally known as Kali Yuga, or Kali Yuga.
And this is where the real detective work begins.
Yes. because the author doesn't just treat the word Kali Yuga as a name. He treats it like a critical linguistic clue, a clue that holds the secret to the entire calendar.
So it's a Hindi compound word. Kal is the first word.
And Yug is the second, which just means era or period. The whole mystery, the whole thing, hinges on the meaning of that first word, Kal.
And this is where the linguistic paradox just smacks you in the face. It's a word that seems to break the laws of reality.
It really does. The word Kal in Hindi, it has two completely contradictory definitions. It means past time, and it also means future time.
Wait, so how can that be?
Well, that's the paradox. The legend highlights immediately. He states it very clearly. He says, two periods in one time not exists.
Logically, you can't be in the past and the future at the exact same moment.
Right. So this linguistic contradiction forces him to find a new definition, one that isn't based on language, but on logic.
So if the era can't be both infinite past and infinite future, then it must be the single crucial point that stands between them.
Precisely. It has to be the divide.
The legend's resolution is, it's actually synthesized beautifully. He defines Kali Yuga as the period that comes in between the past and the future.
By definition, it becomes the present time or period. But, and this is the key leap, that's still a philosophical statement. It's not a universal scientific anchor point. Not yet.
Okay, so he's moved from this abstract linguistic paradox. How does he find a universal language to actually measure this point in time?
He turns to the only structure we have that can handle the concepts of infinity and zero at the same time.
He turns to mathematics.
He turns to mathematics. This is a huge conceptual bridge he's building, moving from ancient mythology to the very bedrock of modern scientific thought.
And what does he use specifically?
He uses a core principle we all learned in school, the real number line system. That number line gives him the absolute perfect tool he needs to measure the infinite scale of time he's dealing with.
Let's break that down, because watching him map this out it's like a movie scene. It defines everything that comes next. We know the number line has three essential parts that define its structure.
Exactly. You have the unbounded stretch of the negative numbers going off to the left.
The past.
The unbounded stretch of positive numbers going off to the right.
The future.
And the single, unique origin point right in the middle. 0.
So he maps the chronological concepts directly onto this ironclad mathematical structure.
He does. The past period, stretching back into all of forgotten history, gets mapped to negative infinity.
And the future period, stretching forward into everything unimaginable, gets mapped to positive infinity.
Which leaves one spot, the present period, that single, indivisible, infinitesimal point that exists between these two endless stretches of time.
The now that is constantly shifting from future into past.
That gets mathematically and cosmologically mapped to 0. It is the origin.
The conclusion he draws from this is incredibly stark and simple.
It is. Kali Yuga means present, which means Kali Yuga is the 0 era of period. The era we are in right now isn't defined by strife or moral decay in this context. It's defined as the 0 era, the objective mathematical origin point on the cosmic clock.
That reframes the entire discussion. I mean, for us, for you listening, it means Kali Yuga isn't just a dark age, like it's so often described.
No, it's the definitive now, the neutral ground, the axis upon which all of history past and future actually hinges.
This is where you really see the audacity of his approach. He's taken a deeply spiritual concept and found its universal mathematical equivalent.
And if Kali Yuga is the 0 era, well, now we have to place that 0 point within the traditional Hindu timeline.
Right. Most people familiar with Hindu cosmology, they know the 4 basic eras: Satyug, the golden age of truth, then Tretayug, Dwapar Yug, and finally Kali Yuga, the age of strife.
It's important to lay out those traditional characteristics first, because what the legend is about to do is redefine them as mathematical placeholders.
So traditionally, Satyug is the golden era, total virtue.
And Kali Yuga is the opposite. The age of decay, conflict, materialism, the decline of Dharma. And typically, historians and astrologers see these 4 yugas as a linear progression.
Leading to some kind of cyclical destruction and rebirth.
Exactly. But the legend just throws that linear idea out the window. He points out that if Kali Yuga is the present, the 0 era, then historians are completely failing to talk about the most essential part, the 0 era itself.
So he needs to fit the other 3 traditional Yuga, Satyug, Tretayug, and Dwapar Yuga into a new structure, a symmetrical structure around his 0 era.
And by placing 0, which is Kali Yuga, at the dead center, he establishes this perfectly symmetrical 8-era timeline. It's beautiful.
This is what transforms the traditional 4 eras into 4 positive eras and 4 negative eras, plus that central 0 point. He details it in his diagram, figure 14.1.
This is the moment the cosmic timeline achieves this perfect mathematical equilibrium.
Let's walk through that structure, nice and slow, like we're watching the timeline unfold in a film. Let's start at 0 and move backward in time to the left.
Okay, so we're moving from the origin point into the negative side, which represents the past. This is pre-zero history.
The eras reappear, but with a minus sign.
Right, a negative sign indicating past time. And the sequence flows outward from 0 in a clear numeric order. First, immediately next to the 0 point, you have negative Kalyug, minus Kalyug.
Okay, so that's step 1 into the past.
Then the second era back is negative Twaparayug. The third era back is negative Tretayug. And then finally, the furthest point in the negative direction, the foundational past, is negative Satyug.
And because the universe, in his model, demands symmetry moving forward into the future, the positive side has to be a perfect mirror image of that.
Absolutely perfect. You move to the right from 0 towards positive infinity, and the structure just replicates itself.
So the first era of the positive cycle is positive Kalyug.
Plus Kalyug. Then the second era forward is positive Twaparayug. The third is positive Tretayug.
And finally, the ultimate goal, the furthest point in the positive direction, is positive Satyug.
It's a colossal scale to even try and visualize. You're talking about two vast four-stage cycles, one negative, one positive, and they all converge and pivot on the present moment, the 0 era.
The sheer scale and the perfect symmetry of it, it's kind of mind-boggling.
And what's really fascinating here is that the author argues this symmetry isn't just something he's imposing on it with math. He claims it's embedded within the very names of the yugas themselves.
How so?
He says the names actually serve as indicators of their place in the sequence. He details this in another diagram, figure 14.2.
So he's decoding the ancient names like a numbering system.
It's like a positional numbering system flowing out from the center.
Mm-hmm.
So the word Kal in Kalyug, as we established, it means both past and future. So that signifies the first place, position 1, right next to the 0 era in either direction.
Okay, that makes sense.
Then you have Dwa in Twaparayug. Dwa literally indicates the second place.
Like duo or do.
Exactly. Next, Treta in Tratayug. That indicates the third place.
And finally, Sat in Satyug comes last in the sequence.
It's the furthest point from the center. It's the boundary marker for the whole cosmological flow.
So he's saying these ancient names aren't just labels for, good times and bad times. They are coordinates on a cosmic map, position 1, 2, 3, and 4 in both directions.
Exactly. The structure is cyclical and sequential.
Yeah.
And to make that continuous movement perfectly concrete and easy to grasp, he uses this brilliant, simple analogy.
The person climbing a ladder.
The person climbing a ladder.
Yeah.
This is the cinematic visualization that brings this huge, abstract concept right back down to Earth.
Okay, let's visualize that journey. Imagine a ladder with 10 steps, and a person is going to complete a full journey all the way up and all the way back down.
The ascent begins from the 0 step. That's ground level. The person then climbs sequentially up the positive steps.
Yeah.
Step 1, step 2, step 3, all the way up to step 10.
That's the upward positive journey that mirrors the movement towards positive Satyug.
Exactly. And then, to complete the cycle, the descent has to begin.
From the very top.
The person starts at step 10, the max positive point, and returns down the steps. 9, 8, 7. Mirroring the journey back through the negative eras until they land back on the 0 step once more.
And that 0 step is the completion of the total journey and the starting point for the next one.
What stands out about the 0 step in that analogy is that it's the only step you touch twice.
Right. Once on the way up and once on the way back down. It's the definition of a pivotal symmetrical point.
The analogy just makes it so clear. The 0 era isn't where time stops. It's where it pivots. It's the beginning of the journey toward the positive eras, and it's the final return point from the negative eras.
So the universe is constantly passing through 0.
Which is why it's so critical. He's established the 0 era not as some arbitrary date on a calendar, but as this inevitable universal fulcrum, defined by both ancient language and modern math.
We've established the cosmological position of the 0 era. Now this is where the deep dive takes a dramatic turn from abstract math to, physical reality.
It's a huge shift.
If we are currently living in this universal 0 era, what is the physical implication for planet Earth itself?
This is the stunning conceptual leap he makes into geology. The legend says that the 0 era is fundamentally the mandated critical time for Earth to change its physical shape.
Change its shape? How?
Specifically, he says it must transition from geoid back to a complete spherical shape.
Okay, wait a minute. We know scientifically that Earth is a geoid, an oblate spheroid. It's a bit flattened at the poles, it bulges at the equator, and that's usually attributed to the forces of rotation and gravity.
Right. But the author's claim here radically departs from conventional geology. He posits that in primordial time, Earth was a perfect sphere.
And he's saying its current geoid shape is not its original pristine form.
That's his claim. He says the change to the current shape is not due to natural cosmic forces alone. He attributes it directly to, and this is a quote, humans' lots of dynamic activities throughout many eras.
So we did this, we broke the planet's shape.
According to legend, yes. The geoid is not the original shape of Earth. It's a damaged shape, a result of millennia of environmental trauma that we inflicted.
That is a remarkable claim. He's saying that the cumulative weight of human civilization, everything from ancient deforestation to modern industrialization, has physically deformed the planet.
And if the Earth has been physically deformed by our destructive activities, then the zero era is the time when the Earth begins to forcibly correct that damage. It's trying to restore its pristine spherical form.
It's the ultimate geological consequence of our moral failures.
You can see it that way.
So if the Earth is trying to fix itself, what does that look like from down here for us?
We see the evidence of this correction in what we call natural disasters. He calls out these destructive landform events explicitly.
So he's connecting the dots.
He's directly linking the change in the Earth's shape to the surge in global disasters we see today. Earthquakes, landslides, floods, hurricanes, flash floods, volcanic activities. He says they are occurring in many numbers because the Earth is physically shifting its mass to reshape itself.
It's the planet's violent response to centuries of our exploitation.
It's the planet fighting back against the damage. But here's where he introduces this profound irony, this disconnect between our incredible technological achievement and our moral awareness.
He focuses on the last 200 years, right?
Yes, specifically the last 200 years of major global development. We have achieved these astonishing feats in science, astronomy, nanotechnology, biotechnology, space science. We're in the ultimate digital age.
But
despite all this intellectual and material infinity, humanity has utterly failed to change its fundamental way of living.
his critique here is really sharp. It's unforgiving.
It is. He calls out the destructive lifestyle that continues. The killing of creatures, the exploitation of nature, the exploitation of other humans. All of it driven by, in his words, self-desire, which is not important to live in present digital world.
The irony is just, it's palpable. We can send messages across the globe in a second, but we still operate with the base instincts of scarcity and greed.
And this moral stagnation, he says, extends to our highest political and social ideals.
The big words.
The big words: freedom, liberty, equality, democracy, fraternity, independence. He says they're beautiful words, but they are found only in books.
They aren't followed in practical daily ways.
Not by governments, not by individuals. And this creates a massive critical gap between our philosophical aspirations and our daily reality.
And this gap is the direct cause of all our conflict.
According to the legend, yes. He attributes the persistent wars on land, power, assets directly to this failure to embody the principles we claim to value.
It shows that in terms of spiritual evolution, he says we're still living in dark or illiteracy despite all our shiny tech.
The planet is demanding a spherical shape, and humanity is providing a crooked morality.
And this leads us to the legend's really grim assessment of where we actually stand.
It is grim. We live in a modern world, technologically brilliant, but we are governed by old thoughts. We just haven't progressed spiritually or morally to match our scientific power.
So the planet is trying to move forward into a new cycle, but humanity is stuck in the old one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he uses these powerful historical parallels to drive the point home. The present scenario, this cycle of wars, exploitation, these unpracticed principles, he sees it as just a reflection of the past.
Specifically, he brings up the ancient eras of conflict, right? He cites the Ramayana and the Mahabharata.
He does. He's using those epic tales as historical evidence of repetitive human behavior. In the past, those great epics were about wars for land, for power, for assets.
Then today,
Look at the modern world. We are still fighting wars for land, power, and assets. The technology has changed, the weapons are different, but the moral motivation, it hasn't changed at all.
the persistence of these behaviors proves we're spiritually stuck.
Right. So if the zero era is the theoretical turning point, where does the legend place us functionally on his timeline, given our continued moral failures?
Are we really?
The conclusion is inescapable for him. because we're still plagued by war and these old destructive thoughts. We are functionally living in the negative eras.
So we're not even at zero yet.
Not really.
Yeah.
Our current state mirrors the cycle from negative Satyug all the way through negative Kalyug. We haven't truly earned or entered the potential of the zero era. We're stuck in the past era's shadow, just repeating the same mistakes over and over.
We're reliving history,
Essentially, yes.
which means the current date on our calendar, 2024, 2025 on the Gregorian calendar, it's cosmically meaningless.
Totally meaningless. The zero era is not a specific year. It's a spiritual and moral state of transition. It's an opportunity.
The opportunity to realize our past mistakes and make the corrections for a better future.
And the Earth is already in transition. It's changing its shape. But humanity is failing to meet the moral requirements of that transition.
It's like a cosmic grace period, a forced moment of self-reflection before the next act of the universe can begin.
That's a great way to put it.
And this brings us to what I think is the most powerful and vivid description of the present moment in the entire chapter.
I agree.
The legend clarifies the critical purpose of our current existence by defining the zero era as the interval era.
The interval. It's the crucial high-stakes moment where one era, the negative cycle of exploitation ends, and the next era, the positive cycle of advancement, is supposed to start.
And to help us really grasp the significance of this break, he uses that perfect contemporary analogy.
The cinema mall. We've all been there. You're watching a long, epic movie. The first half is full of drama, conflict, chaos.
And then in the middle of the film, the screen goes dark and it says interval, 20 to 30 minutes.
Mandatory time for relaxation, reflection. Maybe you go get some popcorn.
So, the legend says that interval time in the middle of the movie is exactly like the zero era in our basic calendar of humankind. It is a mandatory cosmic break.
A pause in the continuous saga of humanity. We are meant to stop what we're doing.
And the purpose of this break is absolutely paramount.
It is. It's time for the people of Earth to, quote, take a break from their own works and realize his past event as history occurs. It's an enforced global pause for self-reflection and systemic evaluation.
And if we use this interval to just keep doing the same violent and exploitative things from the first half of the movie,
We have failed the test. The whole point is missed.
this is the universe giving us a final chance to get our act together. What is the explicit assignment during this cosmic intermission? What are we supposed to do?
We are instructed to take a lesson from our past event, so learn from the endless conflict of the negative eras, and then apply a positive knowledge or path for better self-development.
And the scale of this correction is immense.
It's total. It has to extend from self-development to societal development, and finally to world development, which, he makes clear, must include non-human life.
This goal is explicitly tied back to the environment and social justice. The development has to include nature and the life of creatures.
The demand is to establish a life with absolute freedom and no exploitation. No exploitation of nature, of creatures, or of fellow humans. The zero era is basically the final exam before the future is permitted to begin.
And if we fail to correct ourselves in this interval, the consequences are unstated, but you can feel them. They're implied to be catastrophic.
And the symmetry of his timeline dictates not just the present, but the future. Based on all of this, he makes a powerful final prediction for what comes next.
Okay, so what is the official path forward once this interval is finally over?
He explicitly states that after the zero era, the next period to begin will be the positive Kalyug era. Plus Kalyug.
Not the end of the line.
No, it's the beginning of the positive cycle.
Which is a direct contradiction of the common mythological expectation, right? A lot of people who follow traditional Yuga cycles predict that after our current Kali Yuga ends, the glorious Satyuga just immediately returns in one giant leap.
The legend refutes that idea completely. He says, not the Satyuga era come that everyone predicts. His argument is purely mathematical and sequential.
Back to the latter.
Exactly. If 0 is the origin point, you have to go to step 1 before you can get to step 10. You must progress to +1, which is plus Kalyug.
The symmetry of the timeline mandates that the eras have to unfold sequentially from the center, just as they receded into the past.
You have to learn to walk before you can run. You have to enter a positive version of our current state before we can ever hope to reach the golden ages of the positive future.
So the immediate future, if we pass the test of the interval, is not paradise.
Not at all. It's a world where we start living up to the promises of the present age. A world of positive Kalyug, where the potential for freedom and non-exploitation is actually realized.
It's a compelling argument. Because it ties our moral progress directly to the cosmic timetable. The 0 point isn't an inevitability we just wait for.
No, it's an opportunity we have to seize through conscious, deliberate effort.
So if we connect all of this back to the bigger picture, the core argument the legend has established is that Kalug is the zero era.
Yes, it's a mathematical, a mythical, and a geographical center point in the universal timeline where our fundamental human behavior must shift.
And until that shift occurs, until we stop the exploitation and the warring, and we start truly practicing the principles we claim to believe in.
The Earth remains unstable, forcing these catastrophic corrections on itself, and humanity remains functionally trapped in that negative cycle, regardless of what the date is on our local calendars.
We're just operating in the shadow of the past.
That's the idea.
It's a powerful one. We're not just living in the present, we're living at the fulcrum of all history. A point where time itself is demanding that we change our destructive lifestyle before the next act is even allowed to begin.
And the author's final conclusion from the chapter, it's clearly intended to create that lasting impression for the reader. It really encapsulates the gravity of our position.
What is it?
He says, we all as humans, including creatures, live in the middle of cosmic calendar of universe.
In the middle, that phrase places humanity precisely at the point of greatest potential and the greatest risk.
We are the generation living in the interval. We are tasked with setting the course for the entire positive future, but we are, as of right now, failing the test.
So we'll leave you with this final provocative thought to mull over. If the zero era is truly this high-stakes 20 or 30-minute interval in the grand cosmic movie, what specific historic event or contemporary global crisis will be the sign?
What's the signal?
Right. Could it be the irreversible acceleration of climate change, the resolution of a major geopolitical conflict, or maybe a profound, widespread shift in consciousness towards genuine non-exploitation? What will be the unmistakable sign that the break is finally over and the positive eras of Plus Kaliug have truly begun?
That is the question we are left with.
And it's the question we'll leave you with until our next deep dive.
Indeed. Thank you for taking this extraordinary dive deep with us today.